Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Garage Game Day Sports. I'm your host, as always, Louis Longoria. It is Sunday Fun Day, everybody. Second day of Super Wildcard weekend. We had a great trio of games yesterday. Hope you were able to check all those three games out. We're in progress of the Bears-Saints game, but today we're talking NFL playoffs and we're talking reactions to the wildcard game between the Ravens and Titans that happened earlier this afternoon. Of course, you had both teams sitting at 11-5. The Ravens going to Nashville, taking on the Titans, the winners of the AFC South, hoping to avenge that loss they had last year in the divisional round. You know, Lamar Jackson had a rough outing last year. The Titans came off that upset of the Patriots, then went into Baltimore and knocked out the top-seeded Ravens. So Baltimore was wanting to atone for that loss last year. They were also hoping to get their first playoff win since 2014. They won the Super Bowl that year, but hadn't cracked a win hadn't cracked anything in the win column in the playoffs as of late. So they were hoping to right those wrongs. Titans actually drew first blood in this game. It looked good on their second drive. Tannehill connected with A.J. Brown on a touchdown and put them up 7-0 early. They tacked on a field goal after an interception by Lamar Jackson, his only one of the game. It was a bad one, and it wasn't a good sign at the beginning because this is kind of how the game last year turned out. So I thought it might be another rough outing at the office for Lamar and the Ravens. They were able to bounce back, but Tennessee dominated the time of possession in the first half. They looked like they were setting the tone. It was looking like it was going to be a repeat of last year. Derrick Henry wasn't getting a lot on the ground, though, at the time, and he didn't throughout the whole game. Baltimore bottled him up, held him to only 40 yards, just a hair over 2 yards a carry. So Baltimore definitely took him away, made them more one-dimensional. And when you take away Henry and you limit his ability, you also hinder Ryan Tannehill in the passing offense. So the Ravens were able to do that and capitalize on some mistakes. Ravens defense clamped down. You know, they allowed 10 points in the first quarter. It was 10-0 Titans. The Ravens clamped down, only allowed 3 the rest of the game, so gave up 13 in total. So they were making plays everywhere. You know, Lamar started feeling it. He scrambled, had a 48-yard touchdown run that tied the game late second quarter, and I thought we really swung the momentum of the game. It was 10-10 at the time, but I just felt the tide was turning. You know, Lamar started feeling it, had his momentum going. You know, you had him, you had J.K. Dobbins. Hollywood Brown made some catches. So they were really getting into a rhythm. And from that point on, I kind of felt like it was the Ravens game, especially because Henry wasn't doing anything. You know, Tennessee had pressured Lamar Jackson. They sacked him 4 times in the first half, 5 for the game. But I thought, you know, if you were still getting pressure on him, sacking him, making plays, and this game was still tied when it seemed like Tennessee had dominated the first quarter of this game, I did like the Ravens in the second half. Ravens, you know, settled down. They started making plays. That offense came to life. You know, Lamar Jackson primarily on the ground. Didn't have a great game through the air. He had the 1 interception, but he had over 130 rushing yards and a touchdown. J.K. Dobbins added a couple of good runs and a touchdown on the ground. So that offense was definitely starting to click, and they put it away. They just put the clamps down on Tennessee. Didn't let them get much of anything. You know, King Henry, 2,000 yards on the season. Did it without a Pro Bowl lineman, which, you know, I thought was pretty impressive. But you take away Henry and you really handcuff that offense. And it showed today. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the Ravens bring to the table next week. We don't know quite yet who they're playing. We're waiting to see on that Browns-Steelers matchup on Sunday Night Football. If the Browns win, they'll go to Arrowhead to play the Chiefs. That would leave the Ravens to go to Orchard Park to play the Bills. If the Steelers would win, they'd play the Bills, and Baltimore would head to KC to play the Chiefs. I think the Ravens, I don't know, I feel like they'd be a better matchup for the Bills. You know, the Bills kind of struggled a little bit, and Jonathan Taylor still got it going on the ground, so the Ravens might be able to duplicate that. You know, have Lamar Jackson make plays through the air and on the ground. You might have better luck against Buffalo. I know Kansas City, you know, once they get going, there's so many weapons on that offense. You can't really bottle one guy up like you did with the Titans. So you can't really stop, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Edwards-Helaire. There's so many guys that you can limit one guy and somebody else is just going to go off. And before you know it, you're down 14-0, 21-7, something to that effect. So, I feel like the Ravens are kind of hoping for a Bills matchup. I wouldn't mind. The fan in me is hoping the Browns win and they'd play KC, but the football purist in me is kind of hoping for a Steelers win. That way they'd play Buffalo and you get a Ravens-Chiefs matchup that probably should have happened in last year's AFC title game. But either way, it's been an interesting weekend of football. Right now the Saints, as of this recording, up 13-3 on the Bears. So this game is still within reach for Chicago. Every game has been very competitive in Wildcard weekend, of course, pending the Sunday night game between the Browns and the Steelers. This has been a really good weekend of football. Usually you get at least one or two blowouts. Every game has been competitive. Both teams have been making plays across the board. So I'm really looking forward to divisional weekend, and hopefully this sets up another weekend of really good football. Well, that'll do it for this episode of Garage Game Day Sports. But as always, if you're a fan of the show, you want to hear more, if you got any ideas for us as far as a show or a podcast episode, feel free to hit that subscribe button on YouTube, like us on Facebook, and follow our podcast on Spotify. It's Garage Game Day Sports across all platforms. My name is Louis Longoria. I will see you guys later. Y'all take it easy.